Welcome to Read, Watch, Play, and welcome to our special Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets review.
And it's spoiler-filled. Spoiler-filled. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch the movie and then come back.
Okay? Yes. And I do recommend that you watch the movie. Please watch the movie.
He recommends that you watch the movie.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I beg you, because I'm so afraid this movie's not going to make it, but I want you to see it.
So, I guess let's jump right into it.
Okay. First, let's just jump into our main character.
Well, hang on. First off, so this movie is based on a comic that was published in 1969, a French comic book, I believe. So a French comic book that was published in 1969. And so this thing's been around for a long time.
And trust me, we had to do our research.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, what the hell are we even talking about? What do you mean this influenced Star Wars?
Well, and you thought it was a novel.
I thought it was a novel. Because,
so,
hearsay is awful.
Yeah. So, no, it's a comic book. And I think there's 17 issues. And they're pretty chunky issues.
They're graphic novellas.
Yes. Is that French for novel?
Spanish for novel.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's about 17 of them, and they did really influence Star Wars in quite a heavy way. I was reading, I kind of skimmed a couple of them. Valerian and Laureline is the name of the comic, and then it's the one I looked at. It was the City of Shifting Water, and then the Empire of a Thousand Planets, which I assumed that this movie was based on.
Assuming is wrong.
It was very different. It was very different, which is fine, which is okay. I sort of like it when they take something, and make it.
It worked for Jaws.
True. Yeah. Was Jaws also based on?
It was an awful. Book? No, it was an awful book. But look, they turned that movie around.
Yeah. It almost was an awful movie because they couldn't get the shark to work at all.
Look what they were able to do with a shark that refused to move anyway. That was amazing.
I know. So this comic book really did lend a lot of inspiration to Star Wars. They have, actually, in the 2010 English reprint of this, they have in the back of the book images from Star Wars, and then images from the comic book that was published 10 years earlier. And it's amazing to me that there are a lot of similarities. I mean, I don't know if George Lucas directly took inspiration from this.
I mean,
but
is this one of those things where everyone's like, oh, he took... he definitely, this was an influence, or is this one of those things where George Lucas actually said, oh yeah, it influenced me a lot?
I don't know. Here's the thing, is that in several interviews, he has been asked about that, and he's never directly come out and said anything. I think he's trying to
protect his empire of money.
Well,
like most people would.
Probably, yeah. And that's probably exactly what it is, because Rod Roddenberry, who is Gene Roddenberry's son, interviewed him for a documentary and asked him about Star Trek's influence on Star Wars and everything. And he loosely said, well, that once he saw Star Trek, he saw what was possible, and then he wanted to take it to the next level. And he did his own thing, because Star Wars is more fantasy than science fiction anyway. So, but he did acknowledge that Star Wars influenced him, probably to the point of that, somebody has been making a science fiction television show at this quality. I could certainly raise the bar and make a movie, and build on these special effects. And so, but I don't think he's ever directly said anything about Valerian, but there is a lot of stuff in this that is very similar.
Well, it's funny, because we're going to get to that, because of what's visibly notable in the movie that has influence, that I feel has influences across science fiction.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the main characters?
I did, but let's start. Can we just start with the opening? Because I love the opening.
Beautiful opening.
The opening. So there's like two openings, and then we meet the main characters.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's the International Space Station as we know it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so amazing.
Yeah.
And so, and you just keep seeing...
I mean, it starts off in...
So 1971?
Yeah, whenever...
when we first finally have that thing up there, right? Yeah. And then they meet the first Russians who come on board the space station, and they greet them, and they do the handshake and a little hug, and it's so great. And then it keeps going and
China,
going and going and keeps going to the future.
African countries.
Yep, Saudi Arabia. Yep. Everyone keeps joining the station, And you watch the guy greeting them. You watch the astronaut greeting them, getting older and older and older, and taking command. And of course, gravity being added to the station. And then we start getting to the point where they meet their first aliens. Mm-hmm. And then the aliens start coming to the station, and the aliens start joining it. Mm-hmm. And it's so huge that by the late 21st century, it is now a gravitational threat to the planet Earth. So the president of Earth, love that too, by the way, in true Tony Stark manner, sends up these little booster cruisers that attach to Alpha 1, because that's now the name of the station, and thrusters activate and thrust the ship out.
It's just called Alpha.
It's just called Alpha.
It's just called Alpha.
Why did I call it Alpha 1? Oh, I'm thinking of Power Rangers. It's called Alpha, and it thrusted out to a sector of space that the humans have named the Magellan sector, because, like Magellan.
And it's heading
explorer.
Towards there. It's just traveling there, and it's taking its time getting there.
And you know what's really funny? Like, the first thing that one of my friends in the theater said was, oh, why is it called the Magellan territory, the Magellan sector? Like, the aliens know what Magellan is. I was like, the space station is human, so if we're going to go somewhere, I think we're allowed to name it if we're the ones that made this big, peaceful international space station. So that's the main opening of the movie.
Beautiful, like, such a positive message.
Beautiful, positive, and for once, we're not scumbags in the universe. That is the most important message. No, as a whole, we are not the scumbags. And we're going to come back to that later, because that's very important. But I was so happy, and that comes back even further at the end, makes me happy again. Yeah. Now, there's a second opening sequence. Mm-hmm. Beautiful planets. Young, beautiful princess alien girl with these beautiful stones that enlighten her body and refresh her, but apparently power the entire planet and are being harvested. And she has a beautiful pet, and all of it is so wonderful. But sustainably harvested.
Because they give 3 times a year, they give back to the planet.
Yes,
to refresh everything.
And harness all that energy.
Yeah. And it's a whole ceremony. They choose one. The princess takes it, feeds it to this animal. Then the animal poops them all out everywhere, and poops it and copies it and poops it all out. And that becomes a major plot point, that this little creature can take anything, ingest it, and then make multiple copies of it.
Which is funny because you don't even know that for sure the first time. We only figure out that it could do it with anything later, when we meet him, which is kind of neat. But anyhow, so we're seeing everything through her eyes now. Again, very interesting choice, and I could see where this throws people off when they're watching the movie, because now we've had this big, beautiful opening. We have another opening, and we're seeing it through an alien race's eyes. And then their planet is being decimated by huge ships crashing into it. And ultimately, the Emperor's family of this alien race, they go to investigate some of these crashed ships. They lock themselves up for protection.
Well, they see a giant ship coming in.
Yes.
And it slams into the planet and causes a shockwave and an explosion.
And they can't
see that.
Yeah.
So they decide they're going to barricade themselves into this crashed ship to protect themselves.
And the princess is stuck outside.
And when they slam the door, the handle breaks off. But they're like, okay, that's fine because we're safe in here. But then the princess goes looking for her family and is now on the outside of the ship looking in. And, very emotional moment between her and her father.
Also, all their emotions are expressed physically. So, fear is darkness over your skin. Love is this beautiful pink, purple color on your... It was so cool because, she's obviously blushing at the beginning of the film. Yeah. Her and this other alien guy like each other. Both their faces light up. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. But she turns so dark when she realizes that this is the end and that she can't be with her family. And her mom is on the inside totally freaking out. And again... great twist here. It is the parents who survive. Mm-hmm. This is not some Superman, Batman story where the parents die, the world dies, and the survivor is the child. Mm-hmm. No, here it's the royal family lives. Their oldest child dies, right? Her brother's on board.
And then right before the shockwave hits her, she releases this wave of energy.
Which we find out later is her life force.
Is her essence, if you were a Star Trek fan, her Katra. And then cut to Valerian wakes up, and he, as the wave passes over him, and then he actually remembers these events as a dream.
Yep.
And he doesn't quite understand what's going on. But then they kick into their mission.
Yep, which the first mission is to go to something called Big Market, which is a huge marketplace that exists in another dimension. So you go to this one planet, which has a gateway to the other planet, and you wear equipment to deal with the people in the other dimension. And then you make your purchases, and then they are transmattered from that dimension to ours.
Can I just say, in the future, well, this is like what, 700 years in the future or something like that?
400, I believe.
And
it's
I think it's 700. Yeah. I think it's 700 years in the future, and of course, all the latest technology is used for shopping.
Yeah,
it just makes perfect sense.
What do we do now? So the $1,000 video cards that we have, and what's it for? Right. So people can play, Gears of War.
True.
Well,
and the funny thing is that they even comment on that, where this older couple, she's buying all this stuff, and she buys like this horn, and they have to put them in these boxes, so the transmatter boxes or whatever that bring them into their dimension, and he's got a whole tub of thing, and she's like, oh, that's so practical, and he's like, you mean useless? It's this very funny moment. I love when Luc Besson does these little moments between these little realistic moments between characters.
First of all, it was great, and I guess something that hurts this film is that every other character was amazing. So I was interested in everyone, the way I wasn't interested in Valerian or Lorelai.
So what's funny?
They weren't super terrible all the time.
But here's the thing: is we completely skipped over like the first major character point of them,
which is they get their mission.
The proposal.
Oh yeah,
we completely skipped over that because it's like
apparently this is a thing that happened in the original comics. Apparently they had this really awkward, I love you, why don't you cave into me? And it's like, no, you sleep with everyone, I can't. Like apparently that was like a thing, and apparently a thing that they stuck to with this movie.
So all right, so let's talk about that.
It's the worst part of the movie. It's the worst part. Do you agree with me?
So here's the thing.
I like how you go. Here's the thing.
I went and saw the movie with Adam, who is our graphic designer here at Kerwin's, and he actually made our overlays here that you see.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, and he's a huge movie buff. So we talk about movies all the time, right? And afterwards, he said, "So what'd you think?" And my first comment was, "Amazing world building."
Yep.
Not great character building.
Yeah.
As far as the main characters went.
Right, but everything else, I was so involved.
So during the course of this mission, Valerian has to infiltrate this section of Alpha that only these ugly aliens can
This is after a huge portion of the movie took place in Big Market, where they had to retrieve what do they call it? It's called a whatever. It's the little guy that replicates things that he eats. Yeah. So they saved one of them. He's the last one. For now at least.
Right. So, and we find out that the people from that planet were trying to get
yes, because we see two of them there.
Yeah, and then Valerian's mission was to get it and bring it back to Alpha so they could preserve it. So it's a good positive mission. And so all of this, and then also, Valerian tracks these guys in Alpha into this dead zone in the middle of the station.
Right, which they're assuming is full of radiation.
Well, it's not that they're assuming. The commander told them it's radiated.
Right. Well, he is, right, he's the commander, and then the one under him is a general.
Yeah.
And the one under him, who helps him throughout the movie.
Oh, he's like the officer of the watch.
I love him.
Yeah, I love them. Every single character in this movie is dynamic and amazing, except for Valerian and Lorelai. And
Valerian has a couple moments, and Lorelai has a couple moments.
Yeah,
but it's not sustained, and that's
and
a
it's
problem.
not. And I'm not saying that it's their acting per se, because for the most part, like Cara Delevingne, I think she's a great actress.
Well, she did.
She was in Suicide Squad. As
I know, but she actually did a movie that required some serious acting. Yeah, like her Enchantress, it gets ripped apart quite often.
Right, but I mean, she's good. She's good. But I feel like she hasn't been given much to work with in those two movies.
No, but there's one movie she was given that she's great.
Paper something.
I'm so sorry, and that is the one that she's supposed to be like super famous for.
So So he has to infiltrate this section, and in order to do so, he goes into this brothel, basically. And he gets this, I forget what the name of the aliens are or whatever, but it's basically somebody who can shapeshift.
Yes.
And
Which, of course.
And that whole sequence is pretty hysterical.
The whole sequence is great.
And the shapeshifter's played by Rihanna.
Who steals the whole movie.
She really does.
Steals the whole movie.
And can I tell you, so he gets her to help him. She covers him and turns herself into these aliens. They walk through this thing, and then they're infiltrating the whole thing. Which, by the way, from the moment he meets Ethan Hawke outside the brothel, to the moment that they're in the trash compactor, is the best sequence in the entire movie.
It is. She's
that
amazing.
Whole thing. And let me tell you, during the fight scene where they're trying to escape those crazy aliens,
and she's doing all the shape shifting. Oh,
one of the funniest parts of the movie is when Laureline is wearing this giant hat. By the way, the mother, whoever that was, the mother of the prince or whatever, of
the king or whatever.
Just that whole sequence was hysterical.
Yeah, like you're gonna look good in this. Yeah. It's like no, you don't understand.
She has a singular purpose, and that's to find the best gift for her son. I'm assuming
the best meal. But okay,
we don't know it's a meal until that point, and she's holding this giant lemon and this giant hat, and they were like, "What is going on?" And she walks up, and the guy picks up the lemon and squeezes it all over her head, and then you realize, oh my god, that giant hat is a plate, and he's gonna eat her brains.
Okay, so the mother caretaker woman. All right, so let me tell you what upsets me about the scene.
If you haven't seen the movie, by the way, you have no idea what we're talking
No,
about.
but I'm going to take it back to you've seen the trailer for the movie. There's this huge sequence in the film, huge sequence from the trailer, where Valerian is in his armor and he is bursting through parts of Alpha, trying to track someone down, smashing through walls, smashing through floors, and just his armor is fully powered. They are wearing the armor up till midway through the movie. Wait, 1/3 into the movie, they get the armor. Midway through the movie, they're still in the armor. They never use it again. It's like, oh, let's give him this cool armor so we can have this big, beautiful special effect of him going through Alpha, and then let's not do it again. So she is now captive by these aliens with the big woman going, ooh, 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 trying to put her in outfits to look cute, to be a meal. And she's wearing the armor and doesn't use it to escape.
And in fact, she off camera takes it off and changes into one of the dresses.
Right, she changes into the dress because she's and again, she's being naive. I'm sure she's like, oh, if I appease these people, they'll just let me go. Till she possibly
nonviolent resolution.
Right, nonviolent resolution, which probably is protocol because she's very by the book. Yeah. Okay, and sure, why not? But oh my god, I was so angry because I was like, use the armor, and he kind of does to fight.
Yeah, well, he fights all those. So anyway, so during that whole sequence, I'm thinking to myself, I want a sequel, and I want these three characters to be together because this is amazing.
Yep.
And Rihanna's doing the voice acting for this when her alien character is in.
You know what's really crazy to me? Her presence raised the bar for the two of them, and yet when they filmed it, I'm sure the three of them weren't even together in that scene.
Oh, probably not.
But I would love to see the three of them together.
She possibly was there because she was
doing off camera. If she was
or
there
motion capture,
that would have been amazing.
Because Mark Ruffalo is there as the Hulk. So in scenes that the Hulk are in, like when he's not jumping from building to building, he's there with the stuff and he's doing
if she was present to give them that energy. Someone needs to cast the three of them in the movie immediately. Because any movie. I would watch anything with the three of them together.
Let me tell you, I thought to myself, this movie is getting good. Like, it was a slow build-up, and I mean, like, their relationship didn't really work for me, but, like, the whole marriage thing and, like, forced romance and stuff. But when the three of them were together, and, like, they were rocking it, I was like, this is the movie I want to see.
Yep.
They're going to be together for the rest of the movie. There's going to be a sequel. And then they kill her.
Yeah, but she dies like Nefertiti and fabulous. I shouldn't curse. I can't help it. The truth was there. She dies like Nefertiti, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
It was the whole.
If you could choose how you're gonna die, right? Like, who do you choose to die as? I mean, I would want to die as Superman, you know. But then she went out like a queen. She went out like Nefertiti. It was amazing.
It was that character, you know. I mean, I'm not a huge Rihanna fan.
No, but she stole the movie.
She did. She really. And then afterwards, I cared nothing for the main character. characters, and I was like, I'm no longer invested in this
I
movie.
am still invested because you know who I cared about? This guy right here. That guy. I still cared about the commander.
Oh my gosh.
The commander and his number one. I was in it for them.
By the way,
you can do it, boys.
These guys,
can do it.
These guys right here, these
We're
three,
wonderful.
They like these little guys who sell information.
They're annoying, but it was used so
charming.
well.
They're so charming,
so
and
good.
they're so like
so good.
You know,
they were useful annoying, not like the annoying ones that do nothing. No, a useful annoying. I love.
I mean, it was fabulous. But
we're gonna do it for 100 parsecs each.
each.
If you kill one of us, the other two lose the information. It is just shared resource. They were so great.
Oh, it was
so
fantastic.
Listen. They were the weakest part of the film. I still stayed invested. I stayed invested for the aliens. They were wonderful. Again, motion captured characters, the alien emperor, the alien queen, their son. Mm-hmm. How did you not? Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, at the end of the movie, weren't you still there for them? Because I was still there for them.
I was still enjoying the movie because the one good thing about the bad, like, so my biggest problem with the movie is that the main characters, I felt like his one personal like conflict, his inner conflict was he's trying to convince this girl to marry him,
prove that he's capable to commit. Because her counter to him at the beginning of the film is,
which is so cliche.
You can't commit to anyone.
Which is so cliche.
No, it's super cliche. That's why I'm shocked that they kept that.
I would have preferred, and I mentioned this to Adam after the movie. I said, you know what would have been more interesting is if. Because he talks, because the whole conversation he has with Rihanna's character is about how he can't show vulnerability. Now that's a great thing.
That should have been.
They should have run with that. Yeah. It should have been he wants to propose, but he can't because he feels that by proposing and saying he needs her, that shows vulnerability.
That would have been stronger.
And that is a much more dynamic and interesting and
it made his scene with Rihanna all that much more.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, why? Like it just didn't make any sense, and so.
You're right. It's just too bad.
Even though
it wasn't enough that it completely unfurled me from the movie, thankfully. But yeah, you're right. It was just again, her being there and the writing for her character was so strong. Where was that for everything else? What happened?
And the other thing is that the one thing I did appreciate was the Laureline wanted There's even points in this movie where Valerian tries mansplaining things.
And she's not having it.
She just shuts it down.
Not having it. I love it.
She's like, yeah, no, just stop. And even towards the end of the movie, he's like, all right, you go get back up. I'm going to go in. And she goes, she's like, why don't you go get back up for a change? And then she just rushes in. And it was so good. And then he doesn't even go get back up. He goes in after her. I'm like, you can't even do that one job.
Yep.
So it was just... there could have been so much more. There could have been so much.
But there was so much there. And that's what I'm so afraid of with the negative attention that this movie's getting. There's so much good stuff that we don't have. We have we don't see Earth in the future, but we have a very positive outlook for humans. So, of course, there is a human who's the villain, the central villain, right? But this guy here, the commander of Alpha, he absolutely wants to do the right thing. And I mean, that moved me. And the fact that his number one is with him, and they're like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense.
No, that wasn't the commander. That was the general. The commander's the bad guy.
Right. It goes commander, general, lieutenant.
Yeah, whatever he. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to. Okay, so anyhow, the ship's general, the one who actually manages Alpha, the one who's still there to greet new aliens when they join, which I think is great. That guy wanted to do the right thing and was constantly searching for the truth. And what was it? The Earth Chancellor was giving him a hard time.
The minister.
Yeah.
Probably the minister of the military.
Right, the Minister of Defense or whatever. Yeah. So, Earth's Ministry of Defense or whatever is saying, okay, you're taking over this project from the commander. And he goes, okay, so you're bringing me up to commander rank. Yes, give me access to everything he had access to. No, that's not necessary. Yes, it absolutely is.
Well, he says he can't do it without the express consent of the commander, but the commander's missing. He's gone.
He's presumably dead.
Yeah.
So that's his case. So they give him access to everything, and even then, he starts thinking, "How come these things don't make sense?"
Yeah.
You know. And so the original planet, the planet from earlier in the film that the aliens are from, is called Mule, right? And the citizens are called Pearls, which of course they sparkle like pearls. So why not? But he still can't put that out together from the information that they have. But he knows damn well that things don't add up, make sense. And his little partner there, the lieutenant or whatever he is, I wish I could remember the chain of command, but he's right there with him the whole time, doing the research, following orders. And then they actually saved the station from getting exploded. Like, they weren't useless. They were great. They were great. And that was so good.
It was so interesting because there's such a mix of cliche and anti-cliche all in one,
and that was good.
And it's not bad. But it's just like the problem for me was that the things that mattered, the things that I as an audience member should be invested in, were cliche and were not interesting enough or investing enough for me to travel along with this story. It was everything happening around the main characters that was interesting and I wanted to know more of.
But again, and I'm saying that is enough that we should see this movie, appreciate it, get a sequel that's better, of course, but it's a great, like you said, great world building. It's a world I want to go back to.
Luc Besson is hands down probably the greatest world builder in cinema, because every one of his movies, Fifth Element especially, I mean, that it's just everything is complete.
Yeah.
Like, he does these one-off movies. He does these movies that are 2 hours long, but yet they feel like a universe and a scope as big as Star Wars or as big as Star Trek.
This was 2.5 hours. I felt very involved, and I actually cared about these other characters. So I gotta give the movie plus points for making me. So the huge negative is I didn't care about Valerian and Laureline enough. But the plus points were I really cared about everyone else, and I cared about their involvement, and I was excited that they too got to be the hero. And you don't get a movie like that very often. I mean, Star Wars comes close, where we have a diverse cast of characters who are involved, and everyone has a moment. Even freaking Lando gets a moment to be a hero in Return of the Jedi. I mean, come on. Like, so we don't get that all the time. So we got that here, and that made me feel so good. And the fact that, like, all of humanity didn't just become this dystopian scumbagness that, we've come to expect from films. I'm sorry, like, it's B+ for this movie for me. B+. So like, lots of room for improvement.
Where on the woo-boo scale are you?
I'm on the soft woo scale.
The soft woo?
I just feel like the movie is beautiful enough. The movie is cinematic enough that people should try to appreciate the good in it. But on the other hand, I mean, what am I going to do? Pretend it's not flawed? Act dishonest and contrary to how passionate I am about other movies that we've still seen in the sci-fi and superhero genre? No, I mean, you know how I feel about those things, but I felt it was a mostly complete story. I didn't have huge flaws with it, except for the two characters and their storyline, which is a lot to get over. So yes, this is not going to be for everybody, but if you really want to see like this beautiful, new, different, exciting sci-fi world that has a lot to offer, and I think can have more to offer in sequels that don't even have to feature these two characters, I think you got to give it a shot.
So for me,
it's good that we have one that we disagree strongly on.
I mean, I don't disagree strongly, but my point of view is that one of the most important things in a movie for me is the journey of the main character and taking that journey with the main character, because that is
like Homecoming for Spider-Man does amazing job.
Right, like boil everything down, strip everything away from the movie. It's got to have a character that I can relate to and that I can take a journey on and I can relate to that journey.
Yep.
Luke Skywalker, okay? Meager beginnings, he's a farm boy, gets caught up in this amazing adventure, and then goes and saves the galaxy. Amazing. That's a classic storytelling, okay? This movie did not have a character journey for the main characters. I did not go on a journey with the main characters. I felt like I was on a ride. That was amazing ride. The world around me was
By the way,
amazing.
I'm told that if you can afford and have the opportunity to go see this in a 4D theater, that it is like a 2.5-hour Disney ride, and that it was worth every penny. So if you want an exceptional like roller coaster experience for bang for your buck, I am told full-heartedly that this movie was that.
That's cool. I personally would not spend my money
to see it again.
I wouldn't recommend anybody spend their money in the theater. Now, I oftentimes will have a differing opinion if I want to see more from the director. But the thing is that Luc Besson is an established director. He's had successful films in the past, and this is.
And what are they?
Fifth Element.
Exactly. And what else?
The Professional.
But Leo the Professional?
Yeah, Leo.
But that's it.
I mean, he did Lucy, and he did
Lucy. Wow.
Lockdown. Well, that's what I mean. It's like he's been given enough chances to make a solid movie.
You know what?
And at this point,
see, that's the part that makes me sad. I say, let's use the property, let's use the vision, let's lose everything else and take a different.
I don't disagree with that, but my point is I feel like this movie is not deserving of people's money. I feel like wait until it's on Netflix.
Ooh.
And watch it. Visually it's stunning, and it would be great on a large screen. But the other thing is, like, I don't feel like they do anything. They do a few things that it's like, oh, that's kind of different and new.
And I like that.
But there's so few.
I am completely.
There's so few.
I know, but they are
even the spaceship chases
new.
were boring.
They were not boring.
They were.
I
was like, there was nothing new. I don't feel exciting.
That ship split into a bunch of mini ships, and they had to retarget. I thought that was great.
I've seen it before.
Who did it, and who did it as well?
Star Trek.
When?
So in Enterprise, the Sulabans had these little like octagon sphere things, and they would all attach together to create one big ship or one big space station.
They didn't do it as well as this movie. This movie was dope. Okay, it was like a little freaking star thing, and then it split up into a whole bunch of them. And they're like, "Which one is the freaking commander on?" Oh my god, it was great. I love that moment. I don't care. You can't take that from me.
I won't
you
take
can't.
Like,
it's wonderful.
I'm just saying, for me, it was like, it was meh.
No, it was fantastic. I mean, I was sitting there watching an IMAX 3D. I mean, I was having a great time with the visual exercise of the movie. And I don't know. It's just because Did
you see it in 3D?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I saw it in 2D.
No, dude, it was great. They just did a great job. I really enjoyed it. If you can watch it in IMAX 3D, if you can watch it in 4D to enhance your experience, because let's face it, these two main characters, it was garbage. Then yes, I vote you do it. If you don't have access to that experience, or it's just out of your budget, well, it's too bad. But yeah, I'm definitely giving this movie a soft woo because I so much appreciate the vision, and it was refreshing because I don't want another story about teenagers running around fighting for their survival in, the year 2055, and, half-breed humans who are like all rich being like, yes, fight for your meager food, children. And it's like, ooh, we designed 17 mazes for you to run through with new challenges, Maze Runner, And it's like, oh, the world will never be the same unless the vampires and humans can come together. It's like, here, go to your abusive boyfriend. No, I'm tired. I'm done with all of it. This was refreshing, even though the main characters just didn't deliver and their storyline was awful. But it's funny because the service of plot, right? Like in Spider-Man Homecoming, everything serviced Spider-Man's story and Vulture's story, and that was great. And here, nothing services Valerian and Lorelei, but everything else services the main plot.
So the mission plot, everything services that,
which was great. It's just that it fell apart
and
otherwise.
That's the thing is, like, there's just no personal stakes for them. Like, they're literally just doing their jobs.
Hence why that guy. There was personal stakes for him. He was great.
He's the bad guy.
He's not the bad.
That's the bad guy.
Is that? Oh, that's
Clive.
Oh God, I'm so he's horrible.
He's the bad guy.
Get the picture of the good guy.
Get
the picture of the good guy.
I'll get the guy on here.
Get the picture of the good guy.
He's worth it. So
he's what he was. He was great.
I may not even have a picture of him.
Are we gonna have to IMDb this?
Yeah, I don't even see a picture of him.
Oh my God.
It's just all them. Yeah, I don't even see a picture of him.
Ethan Hawke. Damn, there's a lot of people in this movie. I can't
There's
get
a
over
lot
it.
of people in this movie.
I mean, Rutger Hauer's in this freaking movie.
Yeah. I can't get a picture. Nope.
I gotta find him. Just because I loved him and the other guy so much.
All right, so let's...
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm
We're
sorry
gonna
for
give
everything.
this guy his due. Because he's... All right, let's see. General... There we go.
There we
Sam
go.
Spurrell? Yeah,
Sam
here we go.
Spurrell. Look at his freaking movies too. He was in The Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
I mean, my God. Yeah, this guy's character.
This guy
the
was
general.
good.
The general is awesome. And then his little buddy. Let's find the buddies here if we can. His little buddy, his lieutenant.
His little buddy.
Let's see.
Uh,
Yeah, Chris Wu. Chris Wu.
Yeah.
This guy's the sergeant. Okay,
Yeah.
so the general and the sergeant, my favorite characters, other than Rihanna, of course.
And those three little guys.
And the three
Those
little
three little
guys.
guys.
But no, him and the general did it for me. And you know what? And in fairness, the commander made a good villain. That was Clive Owen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was good.
It's so horrible. Everyone else has so much gravitas. Like Clive Owen had so much gravitas in the scene. It just made Dan DeHaan so much less.
Man.
It was awful. I'm sorry. Or the fact that like Rihanna's presence elevated everything.
Yeah.
So, oh man, do we blame the director? Do we blame acting? Do we blame a little bit of everything? The script definitely gets some blame.
The script is, the script certainly could have used some work in the personal relationship department of them.
Right. Every conversation they have alone together. Every conversation they have alone.
It's you know what it reminded me of is Anakin and Padme in episode 2.
Yeah.
Like they're like
Like
it's
they're-
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like,
and even then, a couple of Anakin and Padme's conversations didn't have to do with their relationship.
true.
You know, this one, not one conversation do they
He's
have
just badgering
alone.
her about getting married.
It's
and
horrible.
And then the only redeeming thing is that she just flat out says, "Why would I want to marry you? Like, look at how you act." Like that's the only redeeming thing about that whole relationship is that she just calls him out on his crap, and like, it's just there was no Valerian. The character of Valerian had no personal conflict or journey or anything to overcome other than convince this girl to marry me.
And then it's forced at the end. Where it's like, see, this is why we can't be together. You don't understand love.
Oh yeah, oh
That
man,
was so forced.
oh no, and he goes, "Oh, I play by the rules." Remember when she says we got to give him the creature.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I play by the rules." It's like, really?
Really?
Were
You've
you
been playing
were
by
you
the
playing
rules?
by the rules earlier when you were ordered to go this way and you went that way instead?
Yeah,
and
when
chased
you
that thing?
when you went
It's
right
like,
into the red
okay,
sector where you weren't supposed
Sure.
to go.
Sure.
Yeah,
So there's definitely some writing issues.
That's a
I think
huge
a little bit
one.
of directing issues. But it's
But everything else was so compelling. Anyhow, I think we're beating a dead horse. But I guess I want to give those last two actors their due because they had great scenes.
Yeah.
I liked that other people got to be the hero too. That meant something, you know.
I give it a solid boo.
I respect that because it's there.
Yeah, it just.
This is literally one of those movies where it's like this. You're either here on the movie or you're here on the movie. It's just, that's what we got.
Yeah. Mediocre.
Yeah. Which, I don't want to go there, but at the end of the day, you can't beat Fifth Element. And even by today's standards,
I'm a little sad that
it's not holding up.
I'm a little sad there were no Fifth Element callbacks either. I thought for certain he could squeeze some
I don't
Element
feel like
callbacks.
he is one to do callbacks to his work.
I mean, similar aliens, like
Maybe.
Like, you know, but whatever. Anyway, on that note,
I love that the pearls reminded me of the violet lanterns, the indigo lanterns.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Here's looking towards a DC movie instead.
Hey, we need to get a Green Lantern flick, so we might as well have some indigo lanterns. Go steal some CGI from over here, boys and girls.
And on that note, it's a boo for me.
It's a soft woo for me.
I'm Tony Cox.
I'm Clifford Parmenter.
And you've been watching our spoiler review for Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
And check us out this Wednesday live as we go over all the wonderful things we heard from San Diego Comic-Con. I can't wait to get into that Justice League trailer.
Can't wait to get into everything. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, like, Green Lantern's breaking into the Batcave, and what does he discover? A cave inside the Batcave.
Caveception.
Yes.
I
Their lip sync battle.
I heard she's not even in the movie that much.
What? Well, of course. I mean, it's Mary Jane. It's not Mary Jane Presents. It's Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay? You know? But I mean, and you score 6 victory points. But while that Flash is in play, the Rogues cannot use their game effect, which is called teamwork. Right? So when I